Let them rifle off some questions.
It's great to have you here. I really appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you very much. It means a lot.
How you doing, Tony? Politic and Hot Still Steps, All Things Talk Sports Network. Tony, it's been incredible that All Elite Wrestling is now 6 years old. Throughout this journey, I'd love to hear about what you consider the most humbling experience of running a professional wrestling promotion.
There's two. The first one was, they're both, unfortunately, the most serious situations. I think what brings you into focus and puts everything in perspective. I think the two most challenging, humbling situations that put everything in wrestling in AEW into focus. The first one would be when we lost the late great Mr. Brody Lee. We just had the TNT champion walk out, the brand new TNT champion. I think quite possibly the greatest TNT champion of all time is the late great Mr. Brody Lee. And when he passed away, I think having to continue a show and put on a show that really paid tribute to a man who loved his family and loved pro wrestling, and that's what everybody would say about the late great Mr. Brody Lee. I think that was the most important show that we had done, and I think it's considered to be one of the greatest wrestling TV shows of all time. And again, it put everything in perspective and put the spotlight on a man who really deserved it, which is the late great Mr. Brody Lee. And you know, that TNT championship and the champion who just left that title has a great legacy, and it's important when we talk about it to talk about Brody. And I think that would really, the idea of having to put a show together that was a tribute show, and also to have John's family, Brody's family there, and everybody in AEW rally around them and put a show together for them to pay tribute to somebody who was so important to all of us and to them, and give him a proper send-off, and have to do that on a few days' notice and put something together at a challenging time for everyone, and really make a moment that is befitting Mr. Brody Lee's legacy. The other one I can think of that was very challenging would be when the late great Jay Briscoe passed away. I had only worked with the Briscoes in ROH, and to be able to bring Mark Briscoe into AEW and to pay a proper tribute to my friend, the late great Jay Briscoe, it was a different circumstance, and they're each their own thing. They're both very unique, but I would say these are for different reasons, but both because they put everything into perspective, and they were the two most challenging situations I've ever been involved in. I think those are the two most humbling experiences I've had as a wrestling promoter, and two great friends I lost, and two of the best people I've ever worked with, Mr. Brody Lee and Jay Briscoe. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey Tony, Kevin McElveen, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Checking in on social media at the end of tonight's show, it seemed overall people really loved the show, maybe weren't thrilled about how it ended. When you see responses, you know, whether it's on social media or live crowds, and obviously it's not always about sending people home thrilled, super happy ending. It's not, you know, it's a longer story you're trying to tell. But do you ever consider, or sort of changing the plan, like calling an audible, in other words? You know, you're looking at, like, when there is this large sense of people not being happy with something. Like, do you take that into consideration, or is it just you're going to...
Absolutely, I take that into consideration. Okay. And I think you want the fans, we had a lot of great moments for the fans tonight, and Swerve was, no offense Renee, the more popular man in the house tonight. The fans really behind Swerve in the arena. You had two of AEW's greatest world champions having this match, and obviously the return of the Young Bucks spoiled what was a really great world championship match on a night where there were a lot of fan favorite moments. That was obviously not necessarily the outcome that a lot of people were hoping for, but on the other hand, I do think that Jon Moxley has been, from the very beginning of AEW, one of the most important figures from the very first pay-per-view we ever did. And it's very interesting now. This creates a lot of intrigue to have the Young Bucks come back. You know, I think it's important to remember is we have not seen the Young Bucks in almost 6 months in AEW. From the very beginning of AEW, the Young Bucks have been instrumental in the launch of the company. They're founding fathers of this company. And to see them come back this way and really for the Young Bucks to get involved and break up what could have been a great moment for the fans, that is consistent with the kind of character we've seen from the Young Bucks in recent years. I would say it creates an intriguing situation. Certainly the fans are behind Swerve. I think the fans are every bit as behind Swerve today after the pay-per-view as they have been at any point. I think the fans love Swerve. I don't think that the Young Bucks' involvement or them screwing him changes that. I do think for tonight it was, it creates a very intriguing situation. So I am very aware the fans really love Swerve. He's one of our most popular stars. Jon Moxley's done a lot of great things for the company. Jon Moxley, you could argue has recently, not just in his history, has recently done great things for the company. I was really very impressed with not only the match, not only the barbaric street fight that John had a few weeks ago with Adam Copeland, and then to get back in the ring so soon after that for the mixed tag match this past week, and then again, I mean, that is enough to put somebody out of action permanently, let alone to come back and have the kind of matches John's had the past couple of weeks. Also did a huge number and did the biggest rating the show's done since November. So there has been a lot of interest in what's happening, and certainly I think there was a lot of support for Swerve tonight, but it's certainly going to create an intriguing situation now with the Young Bucks, who are two of our biggest stars ever, coming back and wreaking havoc. It's something to certainly watch for Wednesdays, at least a silver lining for all of us. Thanks for asking, Kevin.
Hey Tony, Justin Durazio, Sports Radio 94 WIP. Knowing what a big fan of the history of wrestling you are, what are the odds that we see AEW Dynamite or Collision have an episode at the ECW arena?
The 2300 arena, right? Yeah, I would be very interested in that, truthfully. The first place I ever saw pro wrestling, was Champaign, Illinois, which is about 90 miles down the road from where we did TV on Wednesday, where we did Dynamite and Collision this week. And I had never seen a show outside of Champaign until I was 13 years old. I'd only been to wrestling in Champaign. I'd never even been out to Peoria at that point to see a match, even 90 miles down the road. And when I had, I took this admission test when I was 13 years old to go to the University of Illinois.
At 13 you did that?
Yeah, I took this. It was to go to this laboratory high school. It's the top academic high school in the country. I think it's certainly in contention for that. My graduating class, we had the top ACT average in America, and it's an 8 through 12. And when I was 13, my parents kind of forced me to take this test. And the silver lining they gave me, two things. They said, if you take the test, you don't have to go to school, just prove you can do it. And then, if you did, let's just see if you can do it. So I pass it, I got admission, and then my mom in the McDonald's parking lot in Champaign started crying and said, you have to go now. And I said, well, yeah, I thought you said I just had to prove I could get in. And she said, you have to go, you did it. And I said, I really don't want to go there. I want to stay with all my friends and not go to we had only 56 kids in my graduating class. And she said, well, if you do go, we'll do anything within reason. Pretty much, what would you really want? What would make you feel good about going there? And I said, I want to go to ECW Arena, and I want to go see the shows that weekend. And so when I was 13, I came here to Philadelphia, and it was the first time I'd ever seen wrestling outside of my hometown, and it was the first time I met most of my best friends in real life. Before, it was like a normal thing to have like online friends and people you didn't like interact with in real life. In like 1996, that was not normal, especially when you're like 13 and a lot of your friends are like in college. and we're here tonight at the show. So I would absolutely love to run there. It would be a reunion of some old friends, and I think that would be really cool if we could go to the 2300 Arena sometime. I haven't been there in a long time. Thanks for asking. It's great being here in Philadelphia. Thank you for coming.
A lot of follow-ups after that, but I'll save them for away.
I don't know if it's a good way you're questioning the parent. Now as a parent, you can question their parenting, but hopefully that turned out okay. Hey Bill.
When we spoke on Thursday, I asked about the Jericho-Bandito match being official. He said there was a reason that it wasn't yet. Based on your answer, and this is my speculation, nothing you said, but I took it as maybe it could be formally announced on Collision, or you said something about having Talon's best interest in mind.
We did announce it formally on Collision, but I also, to your point, I did have Talon's best interest in mind, which was making sure that there was a lot of family lined up to come in, and a lot of things happening this past week, and also wanted to make sure, frankly, that we were able to get the right people here for the right moment that we wanted to have, and I'm really pleased we were. And it really was a great moment. The crowd reaction when Aubrey found the baseball bat, when Bandito's family pointed out a mistake, and that was a really nice thing to see, and it was a great moment for Bandito and his family. They were over the moon, and I was really glad he was able to have that moment. But there were some challenges on the way this week. It was just personal stuff, but it worked out. So that's really, I was just trying to take care of a personal situation there. But I'm really glad we were able to make a great family moment happen on a great show. I saw some people speculating for other reasons why it might be, and I thought those I love reading wrestling speculation. I love reading wrestling discourse. I love wrestling fans. I thought some of the speculation about why we might not be doing it was kind of ridiculous, but I do it was just a personal thing that worked out, and I'm very glad it was able to happen. And then Thursday, not maybe maybe 90 minutes after we talked, or an hour after we talked, that situation right after I got off the phone with all of you, it worked out, so I was able to make the announcement formally.
That's why I was like, wait, you just tweeted it out.
Yeah, like I said, it was just people, personal issue, worked out.
Hey Tony, so after tonight's show, we saw FTR turning their back on Edge. Is there any updates on Edge's after Edge? Is he injured? Is he going to be out for a couple of weeks, a month? With Adam Copeland's injury, is a very, very serious situation. I appreciate you asking about Adam's condition. I can't speculate on what's going to happen. Adam, since he arrived here, has really been fantastic for us these last couple of years. He came back from a major injury last year at Double or Nothing after a long layoff, and he's just been absolutely fantastic since he's been back. I mean, he had a great run as the two-time TNT champion. Was never beaten for that title, broke his leg and was out for the rest of the year, and came back at the end of 2024 from the very first episode of Dynamite on Max, from the first ever simulcast show. Adam's been back. He's been a huge part of AEW, and tonight things took a dark turn. And Adam and FTR, that's a friendship that goes back many, many years, long before I knew any of those guys. They've been friends for so long, so to see something like that happen is a terrible situation, and worst of all, Adam's hurt. So I just hope Adam isn't out too long, and hopefully he'll be back with us, because he just got going again. He's been doing so great. Thank you.
2 more questions.
All right. I have a question for the both of you. Again, Derek Lewis with the D-Lu podcast on the Believe Network. For Tony, I know the company has been around 6 years, and leaps and bounds, and I'm so proud of what you guys are doing. Has there been any discussion about the possibility of a development for an AEW app? And for Renee, I just have one question. Are the Leafs going to do it this year?
Well, I don't know, man. Don't point that at me.
You take that.
We'll see what those guys bring to the table. I love me some Leafs, bleed blue, but sometimes they let you down, so I'm not really willing to put all my eggs in that basket. We'll see.
That's TNT Sports would love this great synergy. That's 2 of their great programs being covered in one.
Yes.
That's a great question. So as far as the design of an app, certainly that is a priority for us. It's a great, great question. It's definitely something now that, frankly, under our current, our media rights agreement has grown, evolved, and changed, and there are things we have the ability to do that contractually I didn't necessarily have the ability to do a couple months ago. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. It's been a really, really great year. I think that's a great question, and we're developing and adding a lot of things in AEW in 2025, a lot of firsts this year for us.
starting with the first ever simulcast. And that's a great question about the app, and it's definitely something that we're working on thinking about, because it's now, frankly, there are things we can do with an app that we might not have been able to do a few months ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Nice with BTA Philly. Tony, congrats tonight. First, Renee, I would have took you as a Diet Coke girl.
I am, but there was none
Yeah.
left in catering. It was the
yeah.
end of the night, and I just needed a little something.
Yeah.
So I went full Coke.
Yeah.
I think we deserved
Respect
it.
that.
It's
You
late.
did. You earned it.
Yeah.
You earned it.
I mean, I'm not gonna finish it. Let's not go crazy. Have a couple sips.
This isn't like a fuller
Yeah, let's calm
situation.
down. Have a little
This
bit.
is good.
But Tony, congratulations. We here in Philly, we pride ourselves on being, I think, the best wrestling fans in the world. What took you so long to give us a pay-per-view, man? When are we going to get another one, and why did it take so long?
We were going to come, frankly, it was something that was going to happen had the pandemic not hit. Then the pandemic hit, and when we came back, one of the first big shows we actually did, the 2-year anniversary show was here, and it's where Hangman came back and won the casino ladder match to get the shot at Full Gear 21. And then the wheels kind of in motion. Frankly, we had done a lot of Northeastern pay-per-views in nearby markets, and this was always a crown jewel that we'd been wanting to come to for years. To me, this is one of the greatest wrestling cities on the planet, on the entire world, and for a show like tonight with so many great moments, there are so many things that I think were so Philly. There's Philly moments. Like, to see some of these things that happened tonight, I just thought this was the perfect place, and really, really great night, great crowd support, and knowing all the great things we had on tap, I thought that this crowd would deliver, and they absolutely did. These are great fans, and I can't wait to bring more AEW TV back here, and just because it was the first pay-per-view we've done, believe me, I want to do a lot more here. It was a long time coming for sure, and frankly, the lockdown changed a lot, because for about a year and a half, all the pay-per-views were in Jacksonville, and we would have been here then. And we've really come out swinging since then. I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for all coming tonight. Tony, congratulations. Another Dynasty under your belt.
Yeah.
Hell of an evening.
It was great. We really, we did a lot of great things. Last year we started a great tradition here with Dynasty. I think we had a great show last year. This year we came in, we had an even bigger crowd. We've really grown the company in the past year since the last Dynasty. We've done some amazing things. And I really appreciate all of you being here. I know a lot of you have been covering AEW since the very first show. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you for being with us. This has been a really, really exciting year for us, and it's only beginning. There's so much to look forward to. I hope I was able to answer almost everyone's question, or at least one question, and if I didn't, between the pre-pay-per-view press call and between this scrum today, thank you for being here, and I promise I hope to try and answer your questions next time. Thanks for covering AEW, and everyone watching at home. I really appreciate you. Thanks for staying up late with us. Frankly, the company in the past week, I haven't talked much about it, but in the past 2 weeks, it's no secret, the company got bit hard by an injury bug, and I think the roster and the locker room really rallied hard. To lose wrestlers like Orange Cassidy and then Jay White back-to-back weeks, those are two of the top stars in the company, and we would have loved to have had both of them here tonight. And I think everybody on the roster, women and men, everybody stepped up and delivered a great show tonight. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here tonight.
We should get one.